everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rin. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. Today I am super excited about this painting because I am painting one of my most favorite characters of all time, which if you saw the thumbnail and you know this character, you obviously already know who it is, but in case you haven't seen this character in anything, this is Rapunzel from Tangled. Tangled is one of my most favorite movies, and Eugene and Rapunzel are by far my favorite Disney couple. I love Tangled. I also really enjoy some aspects of the TV show, the Tangled TV show. But anyway, I have wanted to make some form of Rapunzel theme or fan art for so long, but I have always been kind of intimidated by it and concerned that my art skill wasn't at a high enough level that I would end up feeling really disappointed with whatever I made. But I'm actually so happy with how this painting turned out. I wish I would have painted it on actual watercolor paper because I would have definitely hung it in my room. But this is of course being painted in my Royal Town sketchbook. I keep saying I'm getting really close to finishing this sketchbook, and I promise I really am. Of course, with every spread I do, I am 1 or 2 pages closer to finishing it. There's definitely still a lot of spreads, maybe not a lot, but there is a handful of spreads that I need to go back in and complete. But anyway, I used a lot of pinks and purples in this spread, of course, because that is Rapunzel's palette. And I also ended up going in some spots and adding some blue. You can't really see it too much yet, but I do add blue in a couple different spots because there is so much pink and purple. I just wanted to add some blue to break up some lines, make it more obvious where like her sleeve would end and like where her skirt is in compared to the background and things like that, just to add also some visual interest of some other colors. But I did use mostly my Vintage Pastels palette. This painting process was very straightforward because there are so few colors being used, so mostly my Vintage Pastels palette like I usually use, just a couple colors from my Winsor & Newton palette, and I don't even think I used any of my Daniel Smith watercolors. So very basic, but something I did want to work on because there are so few colors being used in this painting is that I really have had a hard time finding a good like blonde hair color that I like. If I do the yellow from the Winsor & Newton palette, it looks much too bright and I don't know, it just doesn't look right. But if I use the yellow that comes in the Vintage Pastels palette, that yellow kind of leans a little like a green, a little bit. I don't know how to explain that, but you know how some yellows kind of lean a little towards green? That yellow definitely does. So I ended up mixing the two together and then came up with the shade that I did use on her hair. I did go back in some spots here like where I'm lining things and adding some detail. That I did use the same mix but added more of the brighter yellow from the Winsor & Newton palette just to give it a little bit more depth. And I do end up going back in even later in the video because I lined everything with that bright yellow and I still felt like it needed more contrast. It didn't have enough dark values to it. So I end up going back in and using some brown later. But before I do that, I am starting on adding some color to the background. If I would have had more time, I would have loved to have drawn Eugene in the background, but I was running out of time and I felt a little intimidated by that because I very rarely draw guys anymore. When I was younger, I used to draw guys a lot more, so I know I like can, but I just kind of stopped drawing them because I enjoy drawing like fun hairdos. And not to say that like you can't draw a fun hairdo on a guy, but like I enjoyed drawing more like girly hairdos, and I love drawing dresses and outfits like that. So I was feeling a little intimidated that it might take me a while to draw Eugene, and so he didn't get drawn. So I just wanted to add some color in the background. which I ended up doing like a pink, purple, and a blue also for the background. And it's not super noticeable on camera. I feel like it looks more vibrant in person. But I'm glad I added it. I do add some more details in the background at the very end of the painting. But I'm glad I added it because I feel like it added a lot to this overall spread. I was trying to add some more depth to her hair here where like the curls are or pieces that are falling out of her braid. And then, so I guess I kind of lined her braid like 3 times, like once with that yellow, 2 yellows mix, and then I think I went back in with the bright yellow, just kind of not mixed at all. And then here I'm starting to add the brown. And even though that felt like very repetitive and like I was just doing the same thing over and over and over again, I do think it really made a big difference and it added a lot of depth to her hair. And I don't know if I would have just left it, I think it would have felt unfinished and like something was missing. So I'm glad I went ahead and did those extra steps and added more color. And then here I'm just starting on of course the flowers in her hair. In my head, this painting is kind of like a little snapshot of a scene or a part in the Kingdom Dance scene. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about, I'm sure. I ended up drawing her holding like a flag, kind of. I'm not sure if this would be a flag or like a very wide scarf, but that has the Corona sun symbol on it. Here I'm starting to paint it. Of course, I wanted to paint it purple because that is the signature color of Corona. So I used my water brush a lot in this painting actually to try and make as smooth transitions, or I'm not sure what the word I want is, but like as smooth of a spread of paint as possible on this paper. I see other people use these sketchbooks and they can make super smooth like spreads of watercolor. I don't know if it's just my skill level or what, but I haven't really struggled with it. So I felt like this did pretty good though, actually. And I do use colored pencil at the end to help like smooth out some spots where it gets a little splotchy. But I did the flag / scarf she's holding behind her. And then while that was drying, I went ahead and started lining the flowers in her hair. I just lined all of this with watercolor. I think I go back in later and line some spots with colored pencil, but my part of what I wanted to do with the flowers was just use my Posca pen to make some little white flowers, almost like in my head like baby's breath was in her hair. So I just wanted to make sure that was going to work while I was working on the flowers, and if it wasn't, I was going to go in with another color and go over it, but thankfully the Posca pen did work. It showed up really nice. So I finished up the flowers in her hair, and then here I am painting the sun. I did use some mauve and some yellow on the sun symbol on the flag, just again for some more definition because there isn't a lot of color variation, so I just thought a little bit of mauve would be nice. I usually use this mauve when I'm lining like the pink. Of course there's mauve on her dress too, that same mauve color on her dress. But that like mauve wasn't enough other places. I knew it would blend in well in the painting and it wouldn't stick out or look silly. And then just working on the little finishing details on her dress. This is usually about the time where if I've missed anything or forgotten to paint anything, I notice it. So anything like that usually gets painted about this time as well. Also, there's so many helpful guides that I didn't realize so many people have like broken down Rapunzel's dress and the details. So shout out to all those people who like showed what the detailing on her dress looked like, because that was super helpful to use as a reference. Here I'm going back in and lining some spots and just adding some more depth and definition in some spots with the colored pencil, just because I don't have a darker purple than what I was already lining this with. I could have gotten a darker blue, but the purple I definitely couldn't have gotten a darker version of. So just adding a little bit more definition, some higher levels of contrast to really make it pop. And then, of course, coming with my Posca pen and adding the highlights, the best part. I kind of messed up the highlights on her lips here, but that's okay. One of the things I love about the Posca pen is if I just take a clean brush with a little bit of water on it, you can like erase it super easily and redo it, or like paint over it if you need to, and it doesn't ruin the painting at all. I really can't say enough good things about my Posca pens, but I don't think I need to say anything else like promoting them. They're already very well loved art supply. So, and then the background was looking a little plain to me, and like there was an awful lot of empty space. So I wanted to take my colored pencils. They're so hard to see on camera for some reason. These like leaf branches I decided to draw. These are very much inspired by like Rapunzel's own drawings in her tower. If you look, there are branches like this that she does in all different colors in a lot of her drawings. So I wanted to bring like some of that to this page, and I thought it was a good way to fill in the empty spaces as well. Let me know in the comments if you think I should do another spread like this with Eugene, because I think it would be a good challenge for myself to draw guys, since I don't draw them very often, and because I think like 2 spreads, like if he was facing the other way, so that would be a spread with Rapunzel facing towards him and him facing towards Rapunzel, if that makes sense, but in 2 separate spreads. I don't know if that makes any sense. I think that would be fun. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Remember to be kind and stay cozy. Bye!